This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. We are going to follow the agenda as posted on the door. We only have one item. If we close the hearing, we will deliberate on that item this evening. You may stay to listen to the deliberations, but you may not provide testimony during the deliberations. With that said, we are going to hear the continuation of calendar number 16, 2019, the application of Brendan McGovern. If you're here on that application, please step forward and give us your name for the record.
Good evening, Brendan. So I'd like to start tonight by thanking those of you who were at the September 25th meeting for being so accommodating to my wife and allowing her to step out and speak to me. I know that you weren't required to do that, but her and I both very much greatly appreciate that. And I thank the rest of you for reconvening on this beautiful night to continue to hear our proposal. So your cooperation and accommodations are very much appreciated. There are a few facts that I'd like to reiterate about our application before I open up to any questions. So first, there was a variance that was granted in 2000, which allowed the previous owners permission to build a second story over the right side or the north side of the existing or then one-story home. This is the same exact area that we are applying for a variance tonight. However, we're not looking to build or rebuild a second story. We're looking to simply just change the roof line in that same area. And the reason that we're seeking to rebuild the roof line in that particular area is to fix certain issues with how that roof line was built back in 2000 after the variance was approved. Second, the hardships and circumstances that existed in 2000, under which basis the previous variance was granted, still remain today. I've extracted directly from the meeting minutes from that variance meeting, which was calendar number 65, 1999, an example of those hardships. One was the location of the existing home, the fact that several houses along the street are already significantly closer to the street than the residents at 73 Fitch, and closer than allowed by the current regulation. And finally, the proposed construction is not inconsistent with other properties in the neighborhood. Third, in the meeting minutes from 2000, it was noted that the board decided that due to the unusual circumstances of the property and because strict application of the regulations would cause undue hardship, the variance was granted. And I'll note that the variance was granted subject to the following stipulation. The majority of the new construction is directly above the existing northern part of the house. And our proposed change to the roof line is 100% compliant with this stipulation. I'll pause now for any questions on those points.
Okay.
Good. So the issues or hardships caused by the existing roof line include that the dormers were built too close together, and as a result, there's debris like leaves, branches, and other matter that is stuck between them and continues to accumulate in the narrow valleys between the dormers. This collection of debris has caused the roof shingles to become loose and dislodged in some places, resulting in leaks in the roof that resulted in mold inside the house. This issue will continue to persist unless the roof line is fixed to alleviate those collection points. Aside from the issues the collection points have caused to the house, the accumulations of debris is also a hazard should the debris become dislodged and fall. And it's not a risk that my wife and I are comfortable letting our 17-month-old son be exposed to. Third, inside the house, the dormers disrupt the functionality of the second floor. In particular, my wife discussed the issues with the toilet and the bathroom upstairs, which I will only reiterate at your request so it's not to duplicate what's already. So I'd like to conclude by saying that it's the point of view of my wife and I, and we both hope that you'll agree, that a hardship has already been proven to build in this case, and we're not intending to do anything more than what was previously allowed under the variance granted in 2000, which was to build a second floor over the existing structure. However, in our case, we're not looking to build a second floor, we're just looking to amend the roof line.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Woody, do you have the 2000?
I think so.
I thought there was a 99. I didn't see one.
It's actually a 99.
It's a 99.
What is that, the minutes are you looking for, or the file itself? Or?
Oh, it's okay.
While he's looking at that, Dan, any questions?
No, actually, I did. In terms of the two hardships you outlined, one is the cosmetic, which is the dormers. Second one is functional. Can you describe the functional? Explain that to me again.
Sure, yeah, so inside the home, the dormers have disrupted the functionality of the space in the second floor. So in particular, one area in the front of the house right now is a bathroom. And there's a dormer that currently sits over the toilet in that bathroom. And you can't actually sit on the toilet because that would hit in your head.
Okay. And just to refresh my memory, by making the modification, do you create higher variance? Do you seek higher variance? Or does that not create any variance that you are seeking?
So we're not looking to change any of the square footage, we're looking to just raise the roof line. And the current roof line in certain areas of the house is actually higher than the roof line that we're intending to have. But there's disruptions in that roof line. So where the disruptions are, which is where the dormers are, we're looking to raise the roof line. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
So in 3 areas, 3 dormer areas, it will raise the roof line?
Yeah, so
To above the peaks? Is that what you're saying you're going to?
correct, like there's peaks
Okay.
right now that extend beyond what we're saying the hypothetical roof line will be in the future. So right now where you see the 3 dormers, we're proposing to replace that completely with just a straight roof line.
Okay. Like a dog, it'll be a dormer, a dog shed dormer?
No, just a
Straight line, roof
just
line.
a straight
Okay.
roof. Yeah.
And do you know the overall height of the proposed roof?
Yeah, so at the very peak, it'll be 28 feet 8 inches. So I'll also note that the proposed roof that we're looking to add on the side of the house is actually going to it's going to be even with the roof that exists on the other side of the house. So it's not adding any height to the overall house itself. And the other side of the house is actually on a lower elevation, so there would be more of a height issue on that side of the house versus this side of the house.
So in this picture,
Yeah.
you're going to put a straight dormer over here. In other words, these won't be there, these little peaks.
Yep.
There'll be a straight dormer across.
Yeah. it'd be just a
And
straight-
that will match up with this.
Yeah, so this.
and the
this-
windows will
Just to
stay?
be clear, this, we've already built an addition on this side of the house.
I know.
Got it, okay. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're just moving the peak up to match the other peak
Correct.
and continue that, soffit straight across.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you look at any alternative proposals, any alternative plans that would be more conforming? Is there another way? One of the things we struggle with, and one of the reasons, I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to come back here is, when we grant a variance, we make a determination that that's the minimum adjustment necessary,
Mhm.
meaning it's the least amount of change to what's allowed to be built in that area.
Yeah.
And so I know what my fellow board members are thinking of and struggling with on this application is, okay, we found that to be the minimum adjustment necessary in 2000.
Yeah.
We sit here in 2019, is this expansion really the minimum adjustment necessary?
Yeah.
Is there an alternative? I think Woody included some plans. Woody, what was the 2004? Is that an actual application?
Yes, we did get a previous owner application to modify the house, and they provided 2 different designs, actually.
Okay.
And one was to, I think they both left the right-hand side alone. But they lifted up the left-hand side and tried to match the roof lines and other things. But they ended up withdrawing that proposal.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, it looks like, yeah, I mean, they
The
did match
roof
the
line's
roof line.
straight across.
They kept the
Yeah.
dormers,
They left the dormers on the right, and they proposed to sort of match that style, if you will, on the left.
But those are currently lower.
Pardon me?
The roof line on the dormer side is currently lower.
Yes, so to be clear, my wife and I, we put
Right.
an extension over the other side of the house, but we set back that extension to
Gotcha.
comply with the setback requirement. And we felt that because there wasn't already a structure there, it was appropriate for us to set back the new construction so that there wasn't any issues with.
How far into the front yard setback are you? I don't actually know the answer to this question. but-
Yeah, so it's, off the top of my head, I think it's 16 inches.
16 inches?
16 inches.
Into
yeah.
the setback.
At its greatest point.
Oh, that's only on one corner.
Right. That's
It's
in
a,
the
it's
most
a, it's a
northern.
triangular shape, that's
Yeah.
non-conforming. I mean, quite honestly, I don't really have an issue with the application. I've traditionally, taken a position that if we're gonna grant a variance for the setback, as long as you're not coming back to us and asking us for a height variance, then whether you build to the maximum height allowable or not, really doesn't bother me because we've granted that variance for the setback. So once we say, okay, yeah, you can build in that area, and I know that there's some arguments that this board makes around additional volume. Again, I think if we're building below the max height, then the extra volume really shouldn't come into play. So that's sort of how I view your file. I don't know that the rest of the board views it that way, and you need to convince 4 of us
Yep.
to vote that way.
Yeah.
So, Vic, I know I think you have some issues. You were probably the reason why I suggested we continue this last time. Do you have anything to add? Anything different you're seeing? Or?
No, 2 things. The hardship, as you stated, had to do with leaves in the gutters and, could you just explain the hardships again?
Yeah, sure. So the hardships that are caused by the dormers, which are in addition to the hardships that were presented for the variance in 2000. So there's nothing that's collecting in the gutters. It's collecting between the dormers. So if you look at the house today, you'll see that there's a lot of debris that's stuck because the space is so narrow, it doesn't allow objects to sort of flow through. And so what's getting stuck there is causing an issue with the roof shingles. So that's one of the hardships that exists on the outside of the house.
And the others are?
The others are, as I discussed with respect to the functionality of the interior and how the dormers prevent the space inside from being used as it was intended to be used when it was built in 2000. And then the other issue is just with respect to the collection, the fact that it's a hazard to anybody who's walking on the property, that there's a collection of things that are on the roof.
Okay.
So we definitely feel that in order to remedy the collection points, you have to adjust the roof line. So we did take into account other options, and we feel that just making the roof line straight across is a really seamless and sort of safe way to alleviate the collection points.
I think you also mentioned, it's important to mention again, the hardship that was found in the original application, which was the location of the existing structure.
Yeah.
Right, we deal with that quite frequently, where we're stuck with a location that may have been conforming when it was built, and it's now non-conforming. I think also what you mentioned, you didn't actually say it specifically, so I'm going to put it on the record, which is there are safety concerns here, right? So you've given us testimony that there's mold and mildew inside the house. Infants living in a house that have mold and mildew is a documented safety issue for you and your family. And then you've got the exterior issue with the fall risk of ice, debris. So I think those are important, and I think we need to take those seriously. The only thing that sort of came to mind when I looked at it is if you looked at doing a single larger dormer, that would take care of some of those issues. You wouldn't be getting the extra ridge height necessarily, but it would give you, maybe a safer, and that would be putting more mass into the setback area, but it might be a little bit more easier to approve. So,
And number two, I think you did a great job on the left-hand side, stepping it back. Why can't you do the same thing on the right?
So I think that our point of view on that was we set that back because there wasn't already an existing structure there. So we were rebuilding from the base, so we made sure that we complied. Here, there's already an existing structure. There's already like a new structure exterior as well as the design, the footprint interior. So to try to set back the entire space almost backtracks on what was approved in 2000, which was to build in that space.
I think the way I would look at it is if we were to require them to step it back, we would actually be taking away a granted variance. We've granted the variance.
That's the only thing that's held me back on
It
this.
already exists,
Right.
so I find it, I find it troubling if we were to go back to people who already had a variance and say, nope, if you want to build in that area, you gotta give the variance back. I think they probably have a good case against the town there, because that's, I think, a taking of a property right.
As a board, typically, when we require people to go back and redesign and bring things into compliance, inevitably, the plan is better for everyone. I think in this case, like, we're working with an existing hardship, in a variance that was granted, an existing hardship. I think the hardship is not super strong, but it's there. So, I don't know what else you can really do other than you could redesign, as Michael said, like a different
Yeah.
style of dormer, but it does increase the mass, and that's an issue for us as well. So,
I think you're going to increase the mass regardless of what you do.
yeah.
Woody, let me ask you a question here. This 28.6 feet, is that that's to the edge of the roof?
Yeah.
28.6?
I believe it's the front wall of the existing and the edge of the new volume that would go up. So I think the pink on that copy of the survey is what's extra volume going up and over. There is something here that maybe I should bring up, and this is the cross section. This came up last time, and we were struggling with the height over the toilet. The best we could tell from the plans, there's actually 5 feet of floor to the beginning of the sloped ceiling of the toilet. That's the plans.
This one.
Yeah.
And a foot or two away from there, it's almost 7 feet.
Yeah, it's not even close to that.
And you have the same dormers in the back of the house that you have in the front. So what it looks like is that the previous architect was very carefully trying to not have too much mass in the setback space. And the owners were willing to accept some sloped ceilings in part of the master closets, but they cleverly positioned the dormers. Anyway, I'm not sure that the ceiling height over the toilet is really that severe. If you have photos or something else to
I don't have
verify
photos.
that.
I could obviously submit them after the fact if that.
Can you give us a working example?
Like if you there's a
No, it's actually helpful. So what is the height over the toilet? Because what I'm seeing in this cross section is it's approximately 5 feet 2 inches.
Yeah, I don't have the measurements, but
Okay.
I can tell from looking at the toilet that the dormer extends to about this height. And then comes up over the toilet. So.
So when,
For
yeah,
reference,
I
how
get
tall
it.
are you?
I've been in bathrooms like that. Oh, it's
Yeah.
awful.
So
Yeah, how tall?
Get up and you hit your head.
5'8". So that's probably what, like 4 or something? The height that you're giving there?
Could be. That sounds like it could be right.
Okay.
Well, I was getting at, I'm not sure we have verification that there's actually an interior space problem. It doesn't match up with the drawing.
I'm going to take the applicant on their testimony on that. I don't think we need to get out there and measure. I know Vic probably wants to.
Who did the original variance?
board members or applicants?
No, the construction company that did this
Well,
project.
what does this say?
You don't know?
2000.
I would love to know that.
I do know that the architect name was
The architect,
Frank Roberts.
I think the architect's name was Roberts or
Yeah,
something.
Frank Roberts.
I can get that. You should press this one? I'm not sure. No, I think that's the other one.
Yeah, that goes in here.
Okay, goes,
Boy.
okay. That's got some heights on
The
it.
owner's name was Polio.
Oh, yeah.
No, these aren't.
And that's what I copied to
Yeah.
try to figure out the cross section.
But I don't think these are scale. What
Yeah,
are they?
yeah.
Quarter inch foot, you're right. Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No?
Ruth Ann? Woody, any questions for the applicant?
No.
Yeah, okay. Trying to think what my options are here. Got. Okay. I've got nothing further. With that, we'll go ahead and close the hearing. Like I said, we'll deliberate immediately after. You're more than welcome to stay and listen to the deliberations. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's make sure these get back into the right file.
Yeah.
So with that, we will move into the deliberations on calendar number 16, 2019. I sort of made my thoughts known during the applicant's presentation. Vic, I don't think you were necessarily convinced by the hardship or the minimum adjustment. So I guess I'm looking to my left to see if I have support for this application.
Being a real estate broker, I definitely support it because a house with that kind of a situation on the second floor is so hard to sell.
Yeah, and I think
It's
that
just an
the
awful-
health and safety issues really,
Yeah.
to me, I think
mean,
we'd be doing a
people-
disservice to
they're
the
hitting their
to the
head.
resident to
I agree.
make them continue in a poorly designed house. I think it would be much different, in my opinion, if this was the same applicant.
Yeah.
If they had come back a second time and said, "Oops, we built this wrong," I'd be much less inclined. But I think in this case, they're a sort of a little bit of a victim in this. So, with that being said, Woody, did we have any proposed stipulations for this?
No.
Okay. With that being said, I am going to make a motion to approve with just sort of the standard stipulations we would put for starting the project within a certain amount of time.
Yeah, those
that's
are
all.
routine
Yeah.
things. Have to have some verification of it. But those are standard, okay.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything specific to this unless someone sees that they feel that they need. Vic, I don't think I'm going to get your support regardless of whether I stipulate this or not. So, so I made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Dan, second. All in favor? 4-1. Thank you very much. All right. With that, we are at the end of our regularly scheduled hearing. Woody, you had 3 items that you wanted to add to the end of the agenda.
A couple things. yeah.
I guess those were not on the agenda previously, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to add, what is this?
Sidell Strubble extension.
Add the Sidell Strubble extension, the 9:18 minutes, and the variance checklist to the end of the agenda. Do I have a second? Dan?
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay. Thank you.
First
Have a
one
good
was
night.
Moving
Sidell
right along.
Strubble extension. This was on the end of Fairmead Road. And Mike, Ruth, and Barb and Dan all participated in that. It's a replacement house. They've had a hard time getting going with it. They'd like a 6-month extension. That's what it's about. They tore down the previously existing house. They haven't started new construction, so variance runs out I think it's later this month.
And what's our requirement? They have to start the construction?
Start actual.
The demolition is
construction.
not sufficient?
Correct. They have to start actual construction of the variance-approved work.
Have they?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
And what's the
That's why they want
delay?
an extension. That's why they want an extension.
No, but do you know the reason for the delay?
From what I understand, time-consuming to tear down the existing house, price out all the work to build a new house, it's not ready. More than that.
I really don't have.
Was this,
Yeah,
is this
the
like
end
a
of the
rear
block.
lot, or is it a lot?
It's the rear lot all the way at the
This
end
is
of
Fairmont?
I
Remember, it kind of
Yeah.
hangs over the cliff, like the porch,
There's a
like
steep
wraps
slope.
around
They
and.
asked for a deck to extend into
Yeah.
the setback space. Yasik did the plan where the house. would
Because
be
we
from.
really struggled over that approval, I think. I mean, I'm remembering it.
Yeah, Deck was a little bit of a stretch, but,
Did we approve the deck? I don't think we approved the deck, did we?
yeah.
And we did.
Oh,
The
Jesus.
deck is the actual issue.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Do you need a motion on that, Woody?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to extend for how long? 6 months?
6 months.
6 months.
I'll give you a second.
Great. All in favor?
You want to vote on this one?
Sure you can. Yeah. Okay. 9:18 minutes, that was Vic and Mike, and a couple other members at the time. For some reason it fell through the cracks, but we'd like to clean that up and get that approved if possible.
Were those circulated?
At some point we did, yeah. It was Jeff and Chuck also.
What was the 9:18 minutes?
Minutes.
Are
Wasn't
those
that our
That's
last
where we had the
meeting?
executive session,
That's where we went.
and we had the sex A redeliberation.
Yeah.
So this is,
Those have been
some
reviewed
simple
and
notes.
revised.
yeah.
Didn't I sign those already?
Well, you signed the, the formal remand resolution. This is just approval of, we met, we talked, and you guys said this and you said that.
All right, but
That's what this
is
is.
it enough with 2 of us here to approve those?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I get a second?
So we need my.
In favor?
Vic, right.
Aye.
I don't think we can approve it, yeah.
And the variance checklist.
Well, I have another one that's the,
No?
well, let me pass that out. But then
No,
we have
you don't
the,
have another one. Oh, yeah, you do. You have one that's already on here.
Actually, last month.
September 25th approval minutes.
And we dealt with some other stuff in addition to this government stuff. So these are gonna be probably pretty handy next month.
Taking one, just one.
Yeah, take one.
Take one and pass it along.
If you would, please start to look it over. We have the sex ed project is back before us next month, the way it looks. And we're going to have to be a little more careful maybe about some details.
Can you, wait, what?
Can't really go into the details of it yet.
It's
but,
coming back?
yeah. They've been doing a renovation of the house.
The file that's on appeal, that we've been remanded twice,
Project that's on
is
a,
now coming back?
not the overall enlargement lifting the house. They ran into a problem with renovations. They were allowed to do up to 50% of value to repair the existing house.
Right.
And they ran into a difficulty.
FEMA problem? Great,
Not quite.
great.
So anyway, now we
I
also
don't know what you're
have-
talking about. What project is this?
Yeah.
This is the project that's been remanded to us twice by Judge Tobin. We have had 2 remand hearings on it, the first of which was nauseatingly specific, and the judge found that it wasn't specific enough. The second remand, he wanted us to basically read an entire 6-page memo into the record.
More than that, yeah.
And we said, no, we're not doing that. It's part of the record. That's how you get exhibits into the record. We called it an exhibit, we submitted it, it was part of the record, continues to be part of the record, and so we're not sure if it's gonna be remanded a 3rd time, but now, what Woody is saying is that there's an issue with the renovation on the house, and they're coming back with a different application.
Correct, yeah.
I don't
So I'll
think
have
I
to
wasn't
be a
on the
little-
application, so I, don't- yeah.
We'll have to be a
I
little
mean, we'll do our job, but that's,
What is the address?
42. 42 Beach Drive.
42 Beach
Beach,
Drive?
the last one.
Oh,
Oh,
Correct.
all the way at the end, yes.
Pear, whatever.
So who's this for? Who's the proposed checklist for? Is it for
Well, something
the
that
applicant?
John and his office put together to try to, let's say, guide us on challenging applications in particular, to get methodical about how we define the hardships, how we handle minimum adjustments and all the other things.
Actually, it's very
He
good.
thought this was-
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
It
thought
works,
this
kinda
would be a
helps
useful
you, yeah.
tool to pretty much use
Yeah.
on anything, let's say, out of the ordinary. And maybe we should do it all the time.
So, but let me ask the question a different way. So this is for the applicant to fill out and submit, or this is for
No,
you to
it's-
fill out and
Well,
submit?
it's sort of a guide for us now.
For us, yeah.
What Chuck has been talking about for a long time is when we have challenging applications, we should essentially postpone to another night our deliberation and our final, decision-making, and have a draft resolution with details such as what's here in this checklist. So maybe what we do for these difficult projects is have the hearing and essentially say to staff, okay, take the checklist, what we've heard about hardship A and B and whatever, let's see if we can't put together something.
I think it's a good idea.
that would Satisfy the judge. And
Simplify.
We don't have to hustle into decisions.
Right, right.
As long as it doesn't turn into an absolute, like, it's okay to have the guidelines, but
Yeah.
not to have it be
Yeah, I agree. We talked
set
about
in
that.
stone.
We have to be flexible.
Yeah, because this is a subjective thing.
I'm still confused. So you're filling this out?
It's John's suggestion for us to fill out as our determination, resolution,
So it's defining the
Part of the-
hardship more specifically.
part of the actual guts of the decision, that then can be,
I don't think we should put anything in writing or fill
No,
out.
it's more,
I think we should
even if we memorize the
consider-
questions and just
Yeah.
use it as a discussion
Yeah.
point.
Is
I
that the
like it.
concept?
I mean, the minute
I
you
think
fill
what
it
John
out,
meant
it's
was that we
official
have
stuff.
a form like that for each application. But he could explain that a little bit further. It's been about a year and a half since we talked to him in some detail about this.
I find this helpful.
Yeah, me
For
too.
me,
Yeah.
to make a deliberation on whether or not something has properly defined a hardship, gone through the proper steps, have they submitted before, did they alter the property? I think the questions are good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think we should fill anything out,
Right.
because
So then-
that puts it in, it's almost like it could be taken to court or something, and I don't like
Well,
that
that's
idea.
exactly where we're at. We
Yeah.
have court proceedings sometimes.
That's why we
have
don't wanna do it.
Prove to the judge that we did what we're supposed to do, as the cases have mandated to us. So this was assembled by our town council people. And I did recently ask them to relook at the minimum adjustment necessary standard. Where does that come from? Is that from case law? It's in our zoning regulations.
I thought it was from Vic.
Something that was specific for the P and Z Commission's instructions to the ZBA. But I asked John, is there a case law that says, ZBA, you shall not, like, there's a lot of case law that says just people's preference to have a bigger house is no justification. And that's about as clear as it can be now with the case law. So we need maybe a little more guidance with John when we have a chance next time, or maybe Christmas time.
I think he's trying to reduce a lot of the subjectivity and make it more objective. So you have it in black and white instead of, us deliberating and assuming and, giving our
And
preferences.
I mean,
that's
if
the
we
kind of
did
stuff the
this,
judge wants to see.
Yeah.
we're just gonna,
But, I mean, just to
not
be
that I
clear-
want to be here, but we could put ourselves out of business. Good self,
Yeah.
Well, we've done a pretty darn good job of that. I mean, if you heard, in '99, they were application 65,
Oh, we had 100 a year, yeah.
and we're on application 16 for this year.
excellent.
So we've done a pretty good job of
Yeah.
streamlining who comes before us. And I mean, Woody, to be fair, since I've been doing this, we've had 2 lawsuits,
Maybe 3.
maybe 3.
Not many, but
I don't
we've
know.
had some CEO challenges that can get thick,
Yeah,
like Weyburn.
But the only real variant challenge we've had is this, this one that we're going through now, right?
I have to think about it, but. we've
Well,
had-
one of them was Dave.
Mhm.
He disagreed with his determination, so I can't remember what that was.
There's been a couple of those.
And then we had the lights at
Patricia
Weeburn.
Lane.
Yeah, and there was the lights at Weeburn. and then-
Patricia Lane, that was it.
Patricia Lane, we had a mess with the way the replacement house was built and encroached in a neighbor's yard and lots of peripheral issues. with
Was
that.
that the Patricia Lane? What is that?
That's the one
But
where there
back
was
up
a
to the church?
slope between the
Yeah,
two
remember the
properties.
16-inch
the-
slope and the runoff
the
and
Clevity? What was it? What
and
was
the
word?
trees in the back and the
the
stone
clevity,
wall.
Clevity.
Yeah.
Clevity, I
Yeah,
got
this-
the source for it. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun
Um,
round and round.
Yeah,
To your
hang-
point, it's rarely an issue.
hang on to these, let's
I
review
can
them.
hit you
and-
with one more, the September 25th minutes, I was, included McGovern and the several others that we had last time.
I approved those via online, so I'm good with those.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll make a
yeah,
motion to
motion.
approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Am I on that one?
You were on that.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Ruth Ann was the only one that wasn't.
So keep your checklist
Yeah, we
and
should go over, that's,
take a look at it.
I like it.
and-
No, I'm,
Will you keep it on the agenda for the next meeting?
even
I
if you
guess
don't do anything formal with it, I like it for me as a guide.
I'd
Yeah.
like to figure out exactly what the planned
How do you?
use is
Yeah.
before we get too excited about it. I mean, everybody can use it as a tool while you're sitting here, while you're deliberating, that's fine, but like Ruth Ann, you make a good point, you know, I don't necessarily want to have this in the file, and then we grant a variance and we've checked, you know, no, there was no hardship, no, there was, like, you know, it could bite us in the backside, so, anyways, I will make a motion to, what are you set?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? Ruth Ann, all in favor?
Wow.
We are adjourned.
Happy anniversary.